What happens when the thing you've barely dared to dream for actually comes true? How does it change you when what you've been believing for and almost given up hope on finally becomes reality? The Redefining Possible podcast spotlights guests with stories of insurmountable odds who have witnessed the impossible become possible with God. Hi, I'm Peyton Hoffman. Welcome to Redefining Possible. Today, we have an amazing guest joining us, Phoebe Entermann. Phoebe is the founder of a rapidly growing nonprofit called Plana that exists to unite and support women who experience unplanned pregnancies with families who have experienced infertility and help streamline the whole adoption process in America. And it is ambitious and exciting, and welcome to Redefining Possible.
Thanks so much, Peyton. It's exciting to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. It is just so amazing anytime we have entrepreneurs that are faith-based and you can really see how the Lord's working in their lives and how the Lord's using them to create something that's truly transforming culture. So tell me, first of all, a little bit about just why pregnancy, why this women's issue. There are many areas of social impact that Plana could have become. So why this for you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I feel like I've always had an interest in tech and women's health, and I feel like, I don't know, my generation just seems very interested in like femtech, and there's the cusp of new innovations in this area. But then I have a big heart for mission and faith as well. And so I didn't actually put two and two together that this was the issue I wanted to focus on until I met some of my co-founders. We were all overseas on a tour bus. We'd never met before, a couple of Australians. And we had this conversation while stuck in traffic about unplanned pregnancies in the US and just about how there needs to be something better. Women deserve more in that time. And so it just kind of came together, this idea of, why don't we build an app? It's femtech, it's women's health, it's faith and mission all in one thing. And why don't we try and help women in their one of the most vulnerable times of their life? So it wasn't necessarily one idea that I just had, but more kind of interests and circumstances kind of combining into what now is, you know, a full-on organization.
I love that so much. It's amazing to take a look at something and you perceive the problem. And like you said, just saying there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. The women deserve more. And how can we help support that? And did it seem daunting to you? I mean, once you kind of said, there's got to be a better way, this is a massive issue. So
It is. And like coming from the outside, coming from Australia and coming into the US and kind of observing the issue from the outside was an interesting experience for sure. And I remember talking to some of my friends before I moved from Australia to the US to start this organization. And all of them were like, wow, like this, you guys are undertaking nothing short of culture change and drastic, like disruptive innovation. And the one thing I could say to them was, people throughout history have always done amazing things, and all of them stood at a point of not knowing how to do it and being a bit intimidated by the size of it. And I thought, well, like, surely I'm no different. Surely we can get a team together to figure something out, because if God's in it, we need to be able to show up and help these women in a better way, right?
I love it. Now, had you ever built apps before? So my background's in tech, so I know a bit about building apps and what that looks like and the time that takes and the skills involved. What was your background before Plana? Because I hear you laughing.
No, I haven't built apps before. I've always been interested in technology. I've worked as like a software consultant before, like helping implement software, but like building it. So not my background. My background's in non-profit management, so that's kind of helpful. But I get on these calls all day, every day with software engineers and just tell them, hey, I want it to do this and be like this. And I'm glad that I'm the generation that grew up with technology. It feels native, so I feel like I can explain what I want it to do, but it's not my background. I wasn't as if I was equipped in this area, but it needed to be done, right? And so we got a team together that could, try with God's help to be able to do something.
I love that. Was there a moment when, because you said you started building this, you were still in Australia, right? Okay. And then you moved to the US, and I obviously met you when you were in the US, but was there a moment just in the creation of this where the circumstances around you just looked like this might be impossible, like this might be too big?
Yeah, like I think the whole first year, I moved March of last year, and I met you in April of this year, right? And I actually think it was like the week or two before I met you.
Wow.
It had just been me, and we had a very small team of me and 3 other co-founders. And after working for a whole year, if you're building tech, you don't see tons of returns until way down the line.
Right.
And after just showing up to the office again and again and again and just working and not seeing a lot of traction, fundraising is difficult. Building a product is difficult, building a team. And just, I remember coming back, it was just chaotic. We had so much going on, and just thinking like, God, like I can't see the fruits of the labor here. And I don't actually know if we're gonna pull this off. And it was actually a week later when we sponsored and presented at the conference that I met you, and we just had such an overwhelming response of people saying like, how has this not been done earlier? Like, how can I contribute? That it was just such an affirmation, like post that first, like I don't see this really coming together, and kind of the encouragement to keep going through that time. So
I love that. And that's so important, because anyone who steps out to do something that is with the Lord, it's, if it's a God dream, it's a big dream, and it's going to be too big for any of us individually to do. So we're going to need more people, and we're going to need that persistence and that perseverance. And so I love you speaking to that, because there's a moment that all of us get to where you're like, I just don't know if this is going to happen. Like, was I crazy to dream this? And, just to have one person begin to change culture. I mean, that's massive. It's tremendous, but that's how all of these things start. And so I love the timing of that. That happened to be, a week later we were at this women's conference together, and these are other like women leaders that were at this conference. So we should say that too. It wasn't just like a random thing. Faith-based
women leaders.
Yeah. And they'd created things, they'd built things. And to have that affirmation, that had to be incredibly just affirming for, okay, they get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be able to hear, I got to present at that conference, and to be able to hear like the verbal response from people visibly and audibly excited to see something like this happening, and to hear people come up and tell their story to me. I met so many people that day who said, how can I sign up? And I was like, well, the app's not quite built yet. Like,
it's on the way.
Just give me a couple more months to finish this. And people telling their stories, people like yourself, a couple other women who, told me like, I've built something before, like, let me know if you need help. I've built something before, like, this is going to be good. Being able to speak into younger female entrepreneurs and say like, keep going is such an encouraging thing, particularly when that their visions were also given by God, and you can see how God's been faithful to others, and how He's going to be faithful to you as well.
The faithfulness is huge. It's so big. Was there a moment when we talked about circumstances looking impossible for you? What about for the women? I mean, because there's touch a little bit about how this really kind of impacts women, because we didn't really get into that before yet.
Yeah, it's something that I didn't know a lot about before starting this. I think there's a general lack of education around the experience of a woman with an unplanned pregnancy, and the experience of a woman with infertility, and I thought I knew a lot about it. And when I actually started to research, when I sat down in front of women and heard their stories, like, it was just so heartbreaking that in the day and age of convenience, everything at our fingertips, that there is such a lack of innovation around how we reach out to vulnerable people.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was amazed to hear stories of women who were like, and then I had to go here and do that, and then I had to manage that myself, and then I had to call this thing and print that thing off and go, and now I have to think about education, now I have to think about, there was just so many pieces of the puzzle that when you're already overwhelmed, because something's come into your life that you weren't prepared for, your whole life is going up in smoke, everyone has opinions, and these women are sitting there not knowing what to do, and to be able to see that, and to see that we have the technology.
Yeah.
This is happening in every other industry except the one that women need most, and saying we can fix this. It's not groundbreaking to bring that same technology into this space to help women, and just hearing them over and over again, it just felt like my life was over. It felt like it was impossible. I felt like my future was gone. And then being able to think, okay, well, how can we, it's not your life or the baby's, how can we redefine a solution here that can uplift both parties there?
I love that. And it's just hearing from you as well that there were so many places where women felt like they were alone and they had to do things on their own. I want to jump into that real quick right after we get back from commercial break, because I think there's something there too. More from Phoebe when we come back here on Redefining Possible. Welcome back to Redefining Possible. I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman, here today with Phoebe Entermann, founder of Plana. And right before the break, Phoebe, we were talking a bit about some of the just awareness, I think, that you've received as you dug and researched into this issue for women, unplanned pregnancies, infertility. Maybe just what are some of the eye-opening moments that really captured your attention in realizing that the current system just isn't working?
There's been quite a few. I think the thing that really clicked for me, and the thing that I've had, the concept I've had many conversations around, is when I was explaining this solutional concept to someone. When I explained it with, you have a woman with an unplanned pregnancy, she looks down at a pregnancy test and it's positive and she feels like her life is over. But then on the flip side, you have a woman experiencing infertility. She looks down at a negative pregnancy test and her dreams for her life are over. Two of women's, like heartbreaking moments, but we're not doing a lot to metaphorically switch those pregnancy tests, bring them together as the puzzle piece to solve each other's problem. And I think being privileged to sit with women on both sides of this spectrum and talk to them and hear women say, the thing that my body was designed to do, it's not doing. Right? Or the future I had dreamed for myself, I can't have, and I can't give much to this child. And being able to hear kind of both sides of this, and having the privilege of being able to bring those things together, it's been like an eye-opening experience for me. And then as I've been able to share with other people and explain to other people, I've seen so many people just say, wow, I've never seen it this way, or wow, that makes so much sense, but no one's ever framed it that way. So it's been a journey.
That was honestly, when I first heard you talk about this, that was kind of my reaction, to be honest, where I just sat there and I thought, how has nobody thought of this before? And that's also when I knew this was going to be tremendously impactful, because it's those obvious things that, for whatever reason, are hidden until a certain moment. And it's like, yes, of course, like these are two puzzle pieces that solve each other. And, it took a woman to come in and see this and to say, with the Lord obviously working through you, to kind of say, hey, it's time to do something different. And I just love the support. We talked a bit about, social return on things earlier, kind of off camera, but the support that Plana is providing, and you really are passionate about providing for the women. Tell me a little bit about that, just because that's a piece where there's just a lack right now.
No. It's a difficult space because it's so different in all your different states and in all different, some places have resources, some places don't. But me and my 3 other co-founders who started Plana sat down and just looked at, there are so many different organizations giving a piece of what she needs, right? And I applaud them and I want to work with them. They're amazing organizations led by amazing people. But if we look at what a woman really needs to go from the moment of an unplanned pregnancy through a pregnancy and then into a life that is abundant post-pregnancy, that requires not just 1 or 2 resources here or there pulled together in her own strength, but designing a system to pull together complex resources that actually support her through that pregnancy and beyond. So it's not just a repeating pattern of coming back to unplanned pregnancies, but saying that unplanned pregnancy, that wasn't the start of a downward spiral. That was the moment that my life changed. And I didn't know it then, but through Plana or through the organizations I met with, that was the start of a new life for me. And so, as we talk to doctors' offices, as we talk to university campuses that can offer scholarships, as we talk to maternity housing, all the different local resources, and say, hey, come partner with us and we'll bring that experience together in an app so the woman has one place that she logs into, one place that she sees a calm place to interact, rather than feeling the overwhelming stress of, I need to manage this myself. So there's so much that's needed to change a life, right? But each and every one of these women are so worth it that if just one woman comes through the program, all of the work over the last 16 months will have been worth it.
Completely.
But, I really do believe this can change, hundreds of thousands of women's lives. And so definitely a lot that's needed for that space though.
And I love that you highlight there's multiple organizations that are working in individual pieces, and Plana is really the first one to kind of say, hey, let's support the whole thing. Let's partner with these organizations. Let's bring it all together so that, there is a one place a woman can go, because there's questions all the way through. And I love, you touched on something about just, saying, hey, this is not the end of her story. This is the beginning of her story. And it just, in that, I hear your voice just really breaking off that stigma of shame. And I think that's so important, for women who, have an unplanned pregnancy. A lot of times there can be, a lot of shame around that, a lot of regret around that, and that can fuel decision making. And so what I love about what you're doing is that you're really reframing that for women.
And I personally think that how you act to people around you is a direct outpouring of the way you believe about God and He believes about you, right? And so, I think if you believe in a God that the Bible talks about, like the kindness of God brings people to repentance, that needs to be, God is love. That needs to be the binding, motivation for what you do. And I think we, as co-founders, came together on this idea: don't shame people for what they're doing. Show them something better.
Yes, I love that.
And I think as Christians in this particular issue, if we feel strongly about our morals but aren't providing an actual resource and better way for this to be done, then we need to get busy, right? We need to get entrepreneurial. We need to get excited. We need to really put our energy where, instead of just words, we need to provide actual resources. So I definitely think it comes down to, I know that God forgave me. I know that He continues to do that. I know that He's patient with me. And I know that He's blessed me, and I'm responsible for giving that to other people,
I love that. And that's such a great segue, because I was going to ask you actually about ways where you've seen God show up. Just, there have been some impossible things. So where are some areas maybe where you've seen the Lord just change like limitations and opportunities, or really just showed up in like an impossible way for you?
Yeah, I love startup. I just think that is just where I love to be. I love just looking at something and being like, well, like that doesn't look like it's going to come together anytime soon, and then just it comes out of nowhere. So I love the kind of the personality of this stage of an organization, but it does mean that you're often looking at nothing, dreaming up something, and then you just have to pray about it, I guess. And I think the biggest, there's been funding and development and all these different things that God's shown up in, but the biggest thing for me is like the people in your team, particularly in a faith-based organization that is tech forward, very like competent. You want the right talent.
You do.
But you want missionally aligned people who really see what we're doing is important, right? And so every single time that I've been like, we have a need in our team, God, I don't know who should fill this need, but I'm stretched thin here. I don't have that kind of idea of like Moses is like, out in the desert and God says, go and rescue his people. And he's like, I can't speak, right? I can't do this. And God's like, I've got Aaron for you. Yeah. And so every single time I've been like, we have this need. And God has just brought the most incredible people into our organization. And our team,
I love that.
We have team worship together, and I sit just with this group of people that I just love and see that every single one of them was brought in through God. There's a limitation to my abilities, and God says, I've got you, I've got the right person for this.
Oh, I love that.
And so I think, through our incredible team has been the way that I've seen God show up the most.
I love that. And honestly, we're here filming in Los Angeles. So we are in LA, in other industries, entertainment being one. There are a lot of people right now that are without jobs. And in America, there's a lot of people that are without jobs. And I love that one of the ways you've seen the Lord show up is bringing the right people into the right seats and the right positions. Because, just as an owner, for you to say, like, I'm praying, like, Lord, I don't know who the person is that's supposed to fill this role. It's not something that you are personal. Like, you don't build software. You're not a software engineer.
And praise God that I don't build the software, because that app would not work.
It would not be good. It would be, you would design it well, but it would not be built.
Pretty.
It'd be pretty. But you knew that, like, the Lord brings the right people in. And so I love that, and I believe that's going to continue as you guys expand. And I just love hearing from an entrepreneur and a business owner kind of saying, hey, I've been praying about the right people to bring in and the right people to align, because it is mission. It's not just a company. I mean, this is purpose and it's mission. And we're going to dive into more of what you've seen the Lord do right when we get back. More from Phoebe here on Redefining Possible when we get back. Welcome back to Redefining Possible. I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman, here today with Phoebe Entermann. We were talking before the break a little bit about just how you've seen God show up in the creation of Plana, specifically in bringing the right people to help you build with, which is, that's all over the Bible, but I love it. I love that you're seeing it happen in real time. How has just the last 16 months, because that's really how long it's been, right? About 16 months. How has that journey really helped redefine your view of either God or what you believe is possible with God?
Yeah, massive question, because I feel like, I just upped and left Australia, got plopped in the middle of the desert in Las Vegas, and then just started building something which was fun and a little crazy. But I think the thing that I've seen revealed to me about God is his patience with me.
Wow.
I'm a manager, so it's so easy. I'm a manager and a perfectionist, a bit of an interesting combo. It's so easy for me to be like, you're doing it wrong or you're doing it too slow. Let me take it and do it myself because you're bothering me, right? But God is involving me. I'm way less efficient
Yeah.
I'm inexperienced, don't know what I'm doing. And God is patient with me through this time so that I learn lessons and so that my faith grows. And so I've told myself, I've learnt all along the way, like God could have given me all the funding I needed on day one.
Could have.
Right? He
But
could
did
have
not.
done that. But I would be like, wow, I'm a great fundraiser.
Wow.
Or, you know, I could have hired all the right people or done all the right design choices or, you know, done all the right campaigns, and I would have been like, I'm brilliant at business.
Wow.
But I feel like the process that God takes you on, particularly when you're called to do something like entrepreneurial, is one of He's patient to hold our hands through the time it takes for us to figure something out through His wisdom.
Yep.
And then learn to have my faith grow in Him. And then now, when we do have successes, I'm like, Lord, we both know it wasn't me. We both know you pulled through on that. Because I think one of the most powerful things when you're building something you can say is just like, God, I don't know what to do in this situation, like give me wisdom. And you know, Proverbs says wisdom's a gift from God. It's not something that we have. So, Lord, I don't know what to do in this meeting, give me wisdom. Lord, I don't know what to do with this conflict, give me wisdom. So that has been a big thing I've learnt about how God deals with me, and I hope to bring that into how I manage other people as well. And then also just that, like, God is the ultimate creator, right? Like, He is the ultimate entrepreneur.
Yes.
And
wow.
He made us in His image to create.
Wow.
And so I've really seen, I don't think there's, you know, God loves to see us create something, an organization in alignment with His will to help His children. And so, you know, we don't have to guess if God, are you happy with this? Are you in this?
Right.
Because, you know, if we're creating something for the good of others, God is with you and He is there. And one of the quotes I really love from this book, Steps to Christ, that I've been reading recently, it says, talking about God's people, they don't have to worry, I'll butcher the paraphrase, but they don't have to worry and have anxiety over the success of the mission. They just need to show up faithfully and leave it in God's hands.
That's so good. Wow.
And that has been just something that has really calmed me and made me just, I got to show up, I got to put in my best, and then God will bring the success.
I mean, oh my goodness, there's so much to unpack in just, honestly, I was just getting so many nuggets out of that. First of all, I think it's important just to say, hey, I didn't sit back and do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you've been actively building, as anyone who's been listening and watching this can tell. And, you know, so you didn't sit back and you were like, okay, the Lord's given me this dream. Okay, God, you go do it. It wasn't, you know, you partnered with the Lord. You've done your part. You've been building, and you've constantly surrendered this. And I love that, you know, you saying, hey, you know what, God could have provided funding, all the funding I would ever need on day one, and that's not what happened.
Yeah.
And I love the humility in realizing, hey, because then you would have been like, well, I'm a great fundraiser and I'm a great connector, and you know, God's not going to give you a God dream so you can do it without Him.
Exactly.
Like, that's the whole thing. It's just, you know, if you receive a God dream, it's with God. It's not for you to go off and do on your own. And I love that you've been just constantly, I don't want to say relearning, but sort of.
Yeah.
Like, along the way.
And I feel like that's what good entrepreneurs do, you know, like you have to be humble. And this isn't coming from me, this is every startup book around. You have to be humble that your first idea is going to be like 20-30% of the way, and you've got to just be quick to learn, relearn, readjust, refine, and say, well, that didn't work, let's try again. But I'm so, one of my co-founders, a great mentor, was sharing with me that you just got to have persistence.
Yeah.
Right? You just have to keep showing up. And if you just keep showing up and keep committing yourself to the Lord, like, this will happen. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's do this. But I think the persistence of just, all right, well, I don't see it today, but come back again. All right, well, I haven't seen, let's back again. And it really does pay off. And the traction starts slowly, but then it really does build.
So how did all of this you mentioned you have mentors. I'm a huge proponent of mentors. I think mentors are incredibly vital for our success as women and for men, because we have men that are watching as well. And I just think there's too few of them. I think there's too few opportunities that people to take advantage of mentors. Talk to me a little bit about how the Lord's used your mentors in this too.
Yeah, I'm blessed in a lot of ways, I think, in the people that God's placed in my life. One of my biggest mentors is my mom.
Love that. We love moms.
She's amazing. She's in education leadership, and so I feel like it's great to have like a built-in like leadership consultant, and has just been someone that's always just spoken the word into my life and spoken, helped me to be humble in how I approach different things, as well as to be bold in the times that you need it, and then also being able to be in, like, whether it's academic circles or business circles or at conferences where we met, and to look around and just to see how many faith-filled women are doing incredible things called by God. And so, there's the mentors in your sphere that speak to you, but then there's the mentors just in how they live their life that you can kind of look at and be like, wow, that's something I'd like to follow after as well.
Oh, I love that. So in all of this, the last 16 months or so, I mean, you can touch on before it as well, but specifically in just building something from nothing, how has that transformed your view of what's possible for your life? I mean, did you have a dream of this before it happened?
No, I feel like little 16-year-old Phoebe would just be like jumping in her skin to see, what we're building now, which is so exciting and I think really beautiful. I've always wanted to do something like this. I've loved startup my whole life. I've loved tech. I've loved women's health, like I was saying before. But to build something from nothing, the very first time, the same conference that we met at, I had attended the year before.
Oh wow!
And we had a name and a new logo and some business cards I'd printed on printer paper.
Love it.
Love that.
I love that.
And then like nothing, no app, just like some Canva designs that I'd done. And then 1 year later to be presenting there and to be like, we have an app and it's launching in a couple months.
Wow.
It's hard to go from that nothing and keep, you don't even know where to start sometimes, but you just have to start. You have to go one day at a time and know and have faith that those days will build up and you'll get to the place where you're like, wow, how did we get here, right?
Yes.
And I'm in that space right now where we're so close to a launch that I'm just like, is this even real?
Yeah. Is this real life right now?
But yeah, you just have to start with what you know, knowing that you'll learn more along the way and that the momentum will build, even though it just feels very difficult to build in the beginning.
Has this really kind of elevated your view of what could be possible for your life? Yeah,
absolutely. I feel like this is always something similar to what I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I think in my, when I was doing my undergrad and I was going through, there was probably a lot more doubt whether I was the person that could pull this off.
Could do this, yeah.
Because you have this image of the women that do startups and I can't do that, right? Or the women who are coding stuff in tech. Oh, but I'm not that smart, or I'm not like that. And so it's I certainly went through that phase of the imposter syndrome. Is this am I the right person for this? Am I working hard enough? But I have come to such a place of peace, not in my own abilities, but in the knowledge that God will place me where I'm needed and where I need to be.
Yes.
For my own development as well. And so I look at the future now with so much peace, just knowing that anything's possible and that the dream I'm living right now, I never would have thought of 5 years ago.
Yeah. I love that.
And so if you commit your ways to the Lord, He will take you places you couldn't imagine. So there's no point me stressing, right? There's no point me worrying if I want to do another venture, if will it go right, will it go wrong, we'll plan it, But just saying, God, you've brought me so far, and you will continue to lead. Anything's possible because this is where we are right now.
Yep.
And this seemed impossible at some point.
I mean, you are living in the impossible becoming possible, which is
absolutely
wild. Well, I want to dive into what's next for Plana, what's next for you, and a little advice you'd want to give. Right when we get back here on Redefining Possible. Welcome back to Redefining Possible. I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman, here today with more from Phoebe Entermann. Oh, Phoebe, this has been the most incredible conversation. We've talked about how the Lord has been working in your life, the incredible ways that He is teaching you and training you through the creation of Plana, and just your trust in Him, which is just so amazing. Tell me, we've got a bunch of entrepreneurs, men and women, that are going to be watching this. What advice would you give to folks who are looking around and saying, I see a problem, similar to how you saw a problem. I think maybe I have a way to solve it. What advice would you give them to, where do I start? What do I do? What pieces of advice I think were most helpful for you in this?
Yeah, I think the most important thing would just be making sure that your motivation is correct.
Yeah.
I remember I was volunteering in Finland a couple years ago, and I was out on a run one day, and I was listening to a Brené Brown book, and she's amazing. And I remember thinking, I want to speak like Brené Brown. I want to write like her, or I want to do this like this person. And I remember just thinking this overwhelming thought of, there's so many writers, there's so many tech entrepreneurs, there's so many of all these different things, but the one space where there's not enough is, Jesus says, there's not enough laborers in my field. And that really hit me of okay, God, instead of trying to be like all these different people, I need to be a laborer in your field, right? And that was kind of the foundational conversation I had with God.
I love that.
And within a month or two, I had met all my co-founders at this trip overseas.
Oh my goodness.
And I think making sure your motivation is correct and making sure you're doing this for the glory of God and not for your own glory is so important. But once you have an idea and once you have this motivation that is showing the love of God to the people around you and taking the blessings He's given you to bless others, I think the best things that I've seen over the last few months is surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. Surround yourself with people who are going to keep your mission on track and keep you on track as well.
Yes, I love that.
And just be a relentless optimist. Relentless optimist.
I love that. Yeah.
Obviously faith fueled because you're led by that, but just don't let anything get you down. And maybe some people have dispositions that are more bent to that, but just keep showing up every single day and just go, we'll just keep going, we'll just keep going, we'll just keep going, because that persistence, that was the advice given to me. And that persistence really does, build and build and build. And one day you'll be standing in the thing that you thought was impossible and looking back saying, wow. But those are the three, I think. Make sure your motivation's good, make sure you surround yourself with people that are the right people, and then just keep showing up. And then I'd say praying for wisdom is the most underrated thing.
Big.
Because whenever I'm in a room of people networking, I think to myself, I could talk to 100 people here in the next couple hours, or I could talk to the right person. And I could hustle, and do everything that I'm trying to do, or I can be led by the Spirit to speak to the person that I need to speak to today. And so I think just every day praying, God, give me discernment, give me wisdom, that is going to get you so much further than hustle culture ever will.
It's so good. And I want to touch on that for a second, the hustle culture, because that was a piece of advice that I really got. Don't feel like you have to do it all by yourself. And you mentioned, that's an area where the Lord's been teaching you of not to take something and be like, let me do it, let me just fix it. I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, we have that maybe area of growth, let's put it that way. So for a lot of us, and I think, a lot of creatives as well, you have a vision, you want something done a certain way. But also realizing, what, it's not going to be done as well if I'm trying to do everything by myself, and it's not going to go as far.
Yeah.
And so what's, a peer advice in that? Because I think that's so important, is to bring people in that have not just the right people, but have skill sets that are different from yours specifically.
Yeah, the thing that came to mind, and the lesson that I feel like I really got taught in this area, is like the analogy of like the body of Christ, right? If I'm saying like I'm going to do it all, not only are you not going to do it,
it's not going to
you're
happen.
going to do it badly, but like that is just such an ego-fueled, way to approach it. But just realizing like, like I'm the shoulder, or I'm the neck, or I'm a part, but every single part in the body is as valuable, and every single part is as needed to go. Some are more glamorous, some are less glamorous areas, but you need all of the parts to function. And so I think it's called founder's syndrome, right? When you have this idea and you just want to like hold on to it for dear life. But it's not my idea, right? It's something that I've been given to be a custodian of, but all of those parts of the body all need to come together. And
so good.
Like me and my COO, we're like polar opposites. He's like the best person to work with. If we swap jobs for a day, it would be a disaster.
It would not be good.
But we're so different, and we work so well together.
So good.
And so just really, I think bringing yourself down a notch, and like one of the values we have at Plana is, our fourth value is like we elevate our people.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that's such a great way to approach navigating founder's syndrome, because it's like, hey, these people, just like God trusts me to do this, I trust them to like keep the vision going. Yeah,
I mean, if you build alone, you don't have there's no team in that. And like you said, it's a very lonely way to be, and it's not gonna be as successful as it would be if you go together. So I think that's amazing, and I'm sure that folks that are watching are gonna take so much away from that. So tell me, okay, what's next for Plana? How can people get involved? What's next for you? Let's go there.
Yeah, no, it's a really exciting time. This year, in kind of the endish of the year, we're going to be launching Plana in Las Vegas, where our headquarters are. And we'll be taking a small group of women through this program in a very handheld way to make sure that we can, keep an eye on the app, that we can, evaluate different things and make sure we can get a tested model. And then at that point, let's grow as quickly as we can to be the first unplanned pregnancy app available nationwide. And so, I get people reaching out from states all over, like, can we download the app? I was like, not yet. And they're like, well, when can we? And can we get you here to do X, Y, and Z? So what's next for me is a lot of running around, debugging apps, checking on people, hopefully more like, sharing opportunities as well. But how can we, partner with churches, partner with universities to do campus talks? How can we partner with Christians like yourself and like other people we've partnered with who have a platform and who want to have the solution for this, issue shared with women? How can we partner with clinics? How can we partner with community resources? Because as soon as we've gone in and made the space ready, we can expand into new states.
Which is amazing.
So it's going to be a busy next couple years.
It's going to be so busy.
But our vision, is not just a 1 or 2 year thing, but in 20 years, how can we completely change the stigma around adoption and adoption just to be a rational and beautiful option when women think of an unplanned pregnancy.
I love that.
And they're like, that's what we want to do, because it's something that's empowering for me. It's empowering for my child.
Yes.
And it's a win. It can be a win-win.
It can be a win-win. I love that. With Plana, obviously, where, if people want to get involved, let's say there's some folks who may want to, donate, or they really love, talk a little bit about the social return that you're seeing in folks that are investing and donating. How can they get more involved in that? Website, Instagram, how can they find out more and really partner up with you to help move the needle forward on this?
Yeah, and it certainly is a big needle to move forward, that's for sure.
It's massive.
But yeah, I like to think about it as, you're not donating, but you're making an investment, right? Yeah. And you won't get monetary returns, but you'll get social returns, and I think you'll get, kingdom returns, laying up riches in heaven. And so I encourage people, if this is a solution that you want to see brought to your state or brought to the US or brought to, women that on our website, plana.org, you can donate. You can either give, just across all of what we're doing, or you can fund counseling, or you can fund education, or you can fund different areas as well. Support on socials, same thing, plana _org is our social media handles. And it's amazing because just showing up on socials and commenting and engaging is an amazing way to give, right?
It really is.
You're giving your support in a really needed area. And then like introductions and bringing Plana into your community is so important. If you are on a college campus, if you're in a church, if you're in a community or in a non-profit, reaching out through our website on the Contact Us form and saying, hey, I want to partner with you, and I want Plana to be joined with our organization to make sure that women in our community are getting held in this safety net. That is such a valuable way to contribute and get involved. And then if you have a platform, if you have a voice, and you want the people that follow you to be connected to life-affirming resources, then, partner with us as well. So there's lots of different ways to give.
I love that.
And this is such a big issue that touches so many different lives. And so it's certainly one that we've been finding resonates with a lot of different people.
That. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I have loved having you. It is so special.
It's been fun.
It's been amazing. That's our episode today of Redefining Possible. See you all next time. What happens when the thing you've barely dared to dream for actually comes true? How does it change you when what you've been believing for and almost given up hope on finally becomes reality? The Redefining Possible podcast spotlights guests with stories of insurmountable odds who have witnessed the impossible become possible with God.